We are the Gujarat Technological University. Since its inception over a decade ago, GTU has been empowering young and curating minds to realize their true potential. Over 4 lakh inspired students are enrolled with one of the premier academic universities in India. With more than 450 affiliated colleges in its fold operating across 5 zones of the state, GTU, the International Innovative University, your place to move forward.
Myself, Dr. Dikshitkumar, Associate Professor from NARANJIBHAI LALBHAI PATEL College of Pharmacy, Umrak. Today I am going to deliver a presentation on phytopharmacovigilance. So we have to understand what is the importance of phytopharmacovigilance in terms of herbal drugs. It is a topic of 8th semester B Pharm in subject of pharmacognosy. So before understanding phytopharmacovigilance, it is necessary to understand the meaning of pharmacovigilance. So first, we understand the meaning of pharmacovigilance. So what is the pharmacovigilance? Pharmacovigilance consists of mainly 2 words. It is a combination of 2 words, pharmacon and vigilance. Pharmacon means drug and vigilance means to watch. That means whenever we administer a drug, we have to watch the effect of drug throughout our body from administration to the excretion, in which manner drug affects our body. It is known as a pharmacovigilance. So the definition of pharmacovigilance is the science and activities relating to the detection, evaluation, understanding and prevention of adverse drug reaction or any other drug related problems. It is known as a pharmacovigilance. And basically, whenever the herbal drugs are associated with the adverse drug reaction or any other drug related problems of the human beings, it is known as a phytopharmacovigilance. In phytopharmacovigilance, we have to study the adverse drug reaction of the herbal and Ayurvedic drugs. So in case of pharmacovigilance, we have to identify the effect of the drug throughout the body. We have to know the adverse drug reaction created by the drug, any kind of unwanted reaction, any kind of unknown reaction produced by the drug, it is known as a pharmacovigilance. So pharmacovigilance, it is a very much important topic for pharmacists, because we should know that whatever the drugs we are giving as well as we are taking to cure the disease, it is doing in a proper manner, it works in a proper manner, it works in a such a system, it cannot creating another type of disease in our body. So it is very much important we to know the behavior of the drug, the interaction of the drug with our food. So it is very much important in which manner drug creating a different types of adverse drug reaction. So if our drug is not producing any kind of adverse drug reaction in our body, then we can say that it is a safest drug. So in case of pharmacovigilance, we have to identify the adverse drug reaction of the drugs. So it is known as a pharmacovigilance. What is phytopharmacovigilance? So phytopharmacovigilance, that means phytopharmacovigilance is an emerging issue related to phyto or herbal drug industry. Till date, many people says that herbal drugs never produce any kind of side effect. Herbal drugs are non-toxic in nature, but it is not right. Herbal drugs can produce the side effect. Herbal drugs produce the adverse drug reaction. So nowadays, we have to go in a deep to know the adverse drug reaction of the herbal and Ayurvedic medicines, and it is known as a phytopharmacovigilance. And it is an emerging issue for the industry to find out the adverse drug reaction or the adverse effect of the herbal medicines. Although the pharmacovigilance base shoots in the synthetic pharmaceutical drug industry and vigilance issue related to the phyto or herbal drug is part of the conventional pharmaceutical drug industry. For the allopathic drug, we all know that allopathic drugs produce several kinds of side effects or adverse drug reactions, and many people are high, hypersensitive towards the particular drug, and it is known as a, we can say that a one kind of adverse drug reaction. Globalization of the complementary and alternative system of medicine and challenges like drug resistance and cost effectiveness of synthetic drugs have forced the emergence of phytopharmacovigilance. Nowadays, most of the people or world are going towards the herbal medicines. Nowadays, the use of herbal medicines are going to rise and rise. So we should know the adverse drug reaction, or we should know the effect of the herbal drugs, and it is known as a phytopharmacovigilance. Phytopharmacovigilance targets several key factors related to phyto or herbal drug industry. Before identifying the phytopharmacovigilance, we should know the some key factors related to the herbal drug industry. It is a proper identification of medicinal plants, procurement of the raw material, process of extraction, the percentage of the active ingredients and marker compounds, microbial count, heavy metal limit, finished products, and trained manpower all fall within the spectrum of phytopharmacovigilance. Whenever we are going to find out the adverse drug reaction of the herbal drugs or Ayurvedic drugs or phytopharmacovigilance, we should consider these all parameters like proper identification of medicinal plants, procurement of the raw material. These all things are the very much important. Process of extraction process is very much important. Whenever we are isolating any kind of chemical constituents or we are preparing an extract, we should solvent is very much important, whether it should be a organic solvent we have used or we have used the aqueous solvent. So it is very much important the percentage of the active ingredients and the marker compounds. Your extract contain how much percentage of active constituents, like we are using a cinchona bark powder, but how much quinine is present in cinchona bark powder. So it is very much important aspect. So we should consider these are the key factors, or these are the points to know the phytopharmacovigilance of herbal drugs. Now we move on the what are the aims and scope of phytopharmacovigilance or the pharmacovigilance. These are the different scope, like a patient care. We can improve the patient care by knowing the pharmacovigilance and safety in relation to medicines and all medical and paramedical interventions. When we know the effect of drug, when we know the adverse drug reaction of the particular drug, then we dispense such type of medicines to the patient. The drug should not create a particular adverse drug reaction or affects the human beings. So we can do the patient care. Then public health. To improve the public health and safety in relation to the use of medicine, we can use the safe medicines for the public health. It is very much important. We can also aims like a risk benefit assessment to contribute to the assessment of benefit, harm, effectiveness and risk of the medicines. Then communication is also the very much important to promote understanding, clinical training and effective communication to health professional and the public. By knowing the phytopharmacovigilance or the pharmacovigilance of the drug, we can communicate to the people and give the clinical training or the effective communication to the health professionals, and they will come to know the importance of the drug or effect of the drug before prescribing to the public or before dispensing to the public. So these are the very much important scope of the phytopharmacovigilance. We can achieve patient care, public health, risk benefit assessment and communication for the health professional by knowing the phytopharmacovigilance. It is another thing we are going to that history of pharmacovigilance in India. What is the history of pharmacovigilance in India? So first pharmacovigilance was launched in India in 1986. Adverse drug monitoring reaction monitoring system for India proposed the 12 regional centers has been developed in 1987. Then in 1997, India joined WHO ADR monitoring program, and at the three main hospitals, ADR centers has been developed in India like AIMS, KEM, and in JLN. Then 2004-2008 National Pharmacovigilance Program overseen by the CDESCO. And in 2010, finally, Pharmacovigilance Program of India has been launched by the government. So these are the history. So we should know that in 1986 it has been started in in India, and now final 2010 Pharmacovigilance Program of India has been uh, implemented by the Indian government. Now, adverse drug reaction of Ayurvedic medicines. So, what is the adverse drug reaction? So, before going on ADR of Ayurvedic medicine, we should know the adverse drug reaction. Adverse drug reaction, that means whenever we are intake any kind of drug to treat our disease condition, but it gives, it produce a response which is noxious or unintended, and which occurs at dose used in man for prophylaxis, diagnosis or therapy. That means कि जब भी हम कोई ड्रग हमारे डिजीज को डायग्नोसिस करने के लिए, प्रोफाइलेक्सिस के लिए या थेरापी के लिए लेते हैं, बट जो ड्रग हम लोगों ने ली है वो इस डायग्नोसिस और थेरापी की जगह कोई अनवांटेड इफेक्ट क्रिएट करता है, कोई नॉक्सियस और अनइंटेंडेड इफेक्ट हमारी बॉडी में प्रोड्यूस करता है और ऐसा रिस्पॉन्स दिखाता है कि जो हमने कभी सोचा नहीं था, इट इज नॉन एज एडवर्स ड्रग रिएक्शन. सो at all, now we are going towards adverse drug reaction of Ayurvedic medicines. So generally people says that Ayurvedic medicines has no side effect, no toxic effect, it is, they are the non-toxic. But nowadays herbal drugs are also producing some kind of side effects, like a poisonous drug. You are not taking a proper amount of dose is very much important whenever you are administer any kind of herbal drugs or Ayurvedic drugs. Suppose you are not taking a proper dose, like suppose you are taking any kind of poisonous drug in treating some of the disease condition, suppose you are taking a overdose, then it will definitely create some adverse drug reaction or unwanted effect in your body. So nowadays Ayurvedic, we have to also know the pharmacovigilance in terms of Ayurvedic drugs. So although technical term equivalent to pharmacovigilance does not feature in Ayurvedic text, now the Brihitrayi and Laghutrayi repeatedly emphasize the major goals of pharmacovigilance to improve the patient care and safety during treatment, and thus to promote the rational use of medications. It is probable that these basic principles of Ayurveda gave the belief that the Ayurvedic medicines are safe. Now, by knowing the pharmacovigilance of drug, we can improve the patient care, and also we can improve the safety during the treatment, and we can promote the rational use of medicine. Rational use of medicine is very much important whenever we are administering any kind of drug to treat our disease conditions. So nowadays it is very much important in case of herbal drugs. The Ayurvedic literature gives details of drug and drug diet incompatibility based on elaborately described qualitative differences in ingredients or quantitative proportions. Ayurveda's Anupam therapeutic method and Shodhan pharmaceutics principles probably also contribute to the prevention of many undesired and unforeseen events. Prevention of this kind is a major goal of pharmacovigilance program. So now Ayurveda literature also gives details like a drug. Whenever you administer a drug, it produces a drug interaction, drug diet interaction, and this kind of incompatibility it will create an adverse drug reaction to the in the patient. And to for the prevention of this kind of problem, there are the two institutes or two things like Ayurveda's Anupam therapeutic method. These are the methods, and Shodhan pharmaceutics principles probably also contribute to the prevention of many undesired and unforeseen events. It is very much effective for the herbal drug industry. Now, Classical Ayurveda prescribes metal and minerals as a medicine given as a bhasma or in combination with plants as a herbo-mineral formulations. Nowadays, bhasma are used to treat various types of disease, but bhasma contains generally inorganic matters and sometimes the minerals. It also contains some of the minerals contains or the bhasma contains some types of heavy metals, and these heavy metals sometimes create some adverse drug reaction in our body. So we should uh, know or we should learn proper methods for the development of bhasma, development of the herbo-mineral formulations, like manufacturing procedures for these medicines are stringent and adverse reactions are described when precautions are not taken while manufacturing and administering these medicines. So we have to very careful while manufacturing of this kind of medicine or whenever we are administering this kind of medicine, we have to be very careful to minimize the adverse drug reaction of the drug. Although these medicines are widely used in India, doubts about the long-term safety come up due to the presence of toxic metals in them, and there are reports related to adverse reactions. Nearly 21% of the Ayurvedic medicine tested were found to contain detectable levels of lead, mercury, or arsenic, and the level of these component exceeds their limit, it will definitely create some adverse drug reaction or unwanted reaction in the patient or in the body. So we should know the level of lead, mercury, and arsenic and other heavy metals in your bhasma or in minerals. All metal containing products exceeded one or more standards for acceptable daily metal intake. The prevalence of metal containing products did not differ significantly by country of manufacture. Rasa Shastra products were more than twice as likely as non-Rasa Shastra products to contain metal, and several Rasa Shastra medicines manufactured in India could result in lead or mercury ingestion 100 to 10,000 times greater than acceptable limits, and it cross it acceptable limits, it will definitely create some adverse drug reaction. So we should know the limit of their heavy metals. Now we move on a setup of pharmacovigilance for ASU drugs. So how we can set up a pharmacovigilance or how we can set up a phytopharmacovigilance for ASU drug. ASU drug, that means Ayurvedic, Siddha and Unani drugs. We should know the phytopharmacovigilance of the ASU drugs. We have to set up a several premises, we have to set up a several organization to check the effect of the drug in our body, like departments of government hospitals and academic institutions involved in clinical pharmacology, clinical pharmacy, clinical toxicology or epidemiology have been identified as the best host to set up and house the centers. To know the effect of drug, we must set up some centers. They are working to know the phytopharmacovigilance or pharmacovigilance of the drug. So these are the centers we can set up. Those applying will be assessed for infrastructure and other resources requirements, since proper planning is essential to establish and run a pharmacovigilance center successfully. Also government support is necessary at least at national level. So whenever we do some kind of research on pharmacovigilance or on phytopharmacovigilance, we must set up some institutions or some organization which can work in a phytopharmacovigilance for ASU drugs, and government will definitely support for the development of ASU drugs. What are the scopes of pharmacovigilance in Ayurveda? What are the scopes of pharmacovigilance in Ayurveda? So at definite at we as we know that if we know the effect of drug, we know the behavior of the drugs, then we definitely say that this drug is a safe, this drug is unsafe. So what are the, we can achieve our goals of the medications by knowing the pharmacovigilance. So what are the scope? Here we can see that patient care and safety when using Ayurvedic medicines and related interventions. Patient care and safety is very much important whenever we are administering any kind of Ayurvedic medicines or other medicines. So this is the one scope. We can get the patient care and safety by knowing the pharmacovigilance. Public health and safety records of Ayurvedic medicines, assessment of benefit, harm, effectiveness and risk of medicines, encouragement of safe, rational, and more effective use, and promotion of understanding, education, and clinical training in pharmacovigilance for Ayurvedic medicines, and its effective communication to the public in many cases have been reported in the recent past regarding adverse drug reactions and drug-drug interactions at various national and international forums has been reported. So these are the various scopes of pharmacovigilance in Ayurveda. If we go in deep, there are the various scopes should be open for the people in Ayurveda. But much more important scope is that we can know the safety of the drug as well as the safest use of the drug, and we can use for the public health and safety towards the Ayurvedic medicines. Now, what is the CSRUISM? So CSRUISM, that means a Center for Safety and Rational Use of Indian System of Medicine. So safety and rational use for any drug is very much important for the patient as well as for the prescriber as well as for the dispenser. Safety and rational use is very much important. Why? So we can see that the WHO emphasizes that it should include traditional medicines in pharmacovigilance system and has published a guideline on safety monitoring of herbal medicines. Nowadays, WHO itself says that we have to know the pharmacovigilance in terms of traditional medicines, because traditional medicines has power to treat the various types of disease. Recently, we have seen in Ramayan, so many soldiers are बहुत सारे सोल्जर्स घायल हो जाते हैं, बहुत सारे सोल्जर्सों को बहुत कुछ लगता है। तो पहले क्या था, पहले कोई एलोपैथिक मेडिसिन नहीं थी, वो लोग लेप बनाते थे या कोई भी आयुर्वेदिक मेडिसिन देते थे और इसको ट्रीट करने के लिए यूज करते थे। सो नाउअडेज WHO itself emphasized that फार्माकोविजिलेंस हम जो ट्रेडिशनल मेडिसिन में लगा देंगे और इसकी जो गाइडलाइन बनाएंगे सेफ्टी पॉइंट ऑफ व्यू, सो इट विल बी वेरी मच बेनिफिशियल टू द ह्यूमन बीइंग्स। टू प्रमोट द गाइडलाइंस ऑफ WHO, IB and SINA, Academy of Medieval Medicine and Science, took a novel task of improving the use of Indian originated drugs and their adverse reaction monitoring under the establishment of Center for Safety and Rational Use of Indian System of Medicine in 2005. So under the CSRUISM, one of the institute, IB and SINA Academy and Sciences, took a novel task of improving the Indian system of medicine drug. So it will be a great pleasure for us. The center is also cooperating and assisting National Pharmacovigilance Program for Ayurveda, Siddha and Unani drugs, which is currently being governed under the aegis of Institute of Postgraduate Teaching and Research in Ayurveda, Gujarat Ayurveda University, Jamnagar, in collaboration with the Department of Ayush, Ministry of Health and Family Welfare, Government of India, is also working on the issue of drugs for the development of safety and rational use of medicines. So it is regarding that matter. Now I am giving a one example of the Ayurvedic drugs or the herbal drug which produce adverse drug reaction. So whenever we are using any kind of herbal drug, safety is very much important. Here I am giving you only one example. Like a number of herbal drugs are thought to be likely to cause adverse effect. Number of herbal drugs are available which produce adverse effect, but people are generally keep in mind that herbal drugs are very safe, they are non-toxic. No, the dose is very much important for any herbal drugs or any Ayurvedic drugs. Like datura, whenever we use, it is a antispasmodic drug. Datura stramonium is highly effective for the asthma because the main chemical constituent is a atropine, which act as an antispasmodic for the lungs. But it is also a powerful hallucinogen. But whenever we administer a higher dose or overdose of the datura or tropine alkaloids, it produce a death or hospitalization of the patient, and this is this thing we can say it is an adverse drug reaction. Tropan alkaloids in it can result in hospitalization or death. So tropan alkaloid हम overdose में लेते हैं तो वो हमें हॉस्पिटलाइजेशन की तरफ ले जाता है और व्यक्ति का डेथ हो जाता है. इसको हम एडवर्स ड्रग रिएक्शन बोल सकते हैं और अनवांटेड इफेक्ट ऑफ दतुरा बोल सकते हैं. सो डोज इज वेरी मच important. Thank you. Thank you very much.